It's March, and it's around this time where a lot of us are waiting to see if we've got offers or rejections from the places we decide to go one day, or in my case as it was, a lot of rejections. You're probably waking up and immediately checking your emails, constantly refreshing to see if you've heard anything back. You're probably feeding yourself some bullshit like no news is good news. You're seeing your friends get in and you're just stuck there still waiting. And it's around this time where I can't help but reflect on how stressful and frustrating this period of time was for the last 5 to 6 years of my life. You always hear about everyone getting offers and being all happy and excited, but no one ever talks about the people that get absolutely nothing and get left behind. And there's 4 things that I want to share with you that I've learned over the years after doing so many interviews. I applied to medical school for the first time in 2018 and I got 4 interviews and I didn't convert a single one of them to an offer. And this was honestly so heartbreaking for me, and I genuinely didn't know what was going on. I thought I was good at communicating, I could talk to people, I could articulate my ideas quite well. I was like, surely I have to get these offers. And it just wasn't working out. And then later on, when I didn't get into medical school and I did biochemistry at the University of Warwick, I was applying for the corporate world, so banking, finance. And again, I was getting to the interview stage and I wasn't converting them to offers. And that's literally so annoying because you do all the hard work to be so good on paper, and when they finally see you, they don't want to hire you. And this was honestly so frustrating for so many years. I was literally just at rock bottom at this point. I just genuinely didn't know what I was doing wrong. Interviews for me have always been hell. And there's several reasons for that, but one of the reasons is my condition, something which I've talked about on the channel before, hyperhidrosis, where my hands sweat all the time continuously. And obviously that's going to have an impact in an interview setting when you're just outside reading the instructions for the station and you're just wiping your hands aggressively just so you can shake the interviewer's hand. But the reality is that's not the reason I always got rejected, and that's not an excuse that I just want to be using for the rest of my life. Because the truth is, I was quite shit at interviews. It's so easy for me to sit in front of a camera and talk about studying and giving advice about uni and stuff, but the reality is, it was such a struggle to get to this position. The thing is, one major thing that I learned after doing so many interviews that not many people talk about is that you just have to be well read. You have to know what's going on in the news. You have to analyze news articles. You have to be able to look at news articles and on topics that you're not really familiar with and be able to come up with your own ideas and conclusions. That skill is so important in whatever interview you're doing, whether that's medicine or the corporate world. And no one really talks about that because that's where I was going wrong. I would just make my pretty scripts, learn them, and then practice them and then think, oh yeah, it'll be fine. But the reality is you have to develop certain skills. A number of times in an interview they give you something to read about something within the industry and you just have to quickly analyze it and come up with your own opinions. You really have to develop that skill, and you can only do that by reading more news articles and forming your own opinions of them. The second major thing that I learned after doing so many interviews was you have to practice with people. You can practice in your room and with yourself as many times. You can learn the content as much as you want. But unless you practice with another human being and have that natural flow of conversation, you're never gonna do well in interviews. And that's something I genuinely did learn. And I wish I did this so much more. I just thought if I just practice with myself and just know my stuff, I'll be fine. But little did I know. The third thing I would say is literally just not to give a shit. I would put the interview on such a pedestal that this is going to change my life and the trajectory of my life. And realistically, it's just a conversation with someone. And if you're not relaxed, you're not going to come across as yourself and you're not going to come across confident. And you're going to get nervous and you're probably just going to say stuff that you regret. And that's generally just what kept happening. I just wasn't confident because I was trying to be someone else. You literally just have to be yourself. I would say use it as an opportunity, then get nervous and put so much weight onto it that you mess up. Final thing that I've learned is quite obvious, but it just needs to be said, that you just need to know your content. After doing these interviews and now being on the other side of them, I know for a fact that there is a mark scheme. There are right answers and there's wrong answers. You can say the wrong answers as well as you want in the most articulate way, but if you're not saying the right things, you're not going to get the offer. And that's just straight up. That's where the other tips come into play, because in order to say the right things, you You have to be well prepared, you have to be relaxed, and you have to develop those skills where they can give you anything on the spot and you just have to come up with a solution there and then. And that's why all these tips actually just work together. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you want to hear more of my story, comment down below, be part of the journey, be part of the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.